Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Battaglia.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Here.
Councilmember Sims.
Here.
Councilmember Greenman.
Here.
Mayor LaBrus.
Here.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Sunshine Law, notice having been published according to law, with a copy on file in the city clerk's office and a copy posted on the bulletin board in City Hall.
Would everybody please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Manager, the agenda, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call up Fran Reiner, please, to come up and talk about the Atlantic Street Park, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Reiner. How are you?
Good evening. I have a couple of exhibits that I'd like to
Yes.
share with the mayor and council, and then I have large boards that I can present to the community so they're seeing the same thing that you're seeing as we go through.
Okay.
There's 7 sets.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rutino. Mayor and Council, thank you. I wanted to walk through the Atlantic Street Park project, the proposed project as is, and to answer any questions that you may have regarding the project. I believe that you were given a memo that walked through some of the specifics. I'll go through each one of those and then be able to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
So in terms of the Atlantic Street Park project, it is obviously located at Atlantic Street, State Street, and Warren Street. The project description is as a multifunctional park which would support residents, employees, and visitors during both night and daytime use, weekday and weekend use. For example, office workers, attorneys, seniors, and visitors during the day and lunchtime hours for 6 to 7 months out of the year. It would also support existing and future residents during weekday nights and weekend nights. Seniors and children's programming for things like art in the park. It would also support an outdoor concerts or musical performances. At one end of the park, there is a small stage area that is 4 steps high. There is electricity for plug-in for music, so that it could be used for those kinds of outdoor performances during the spring and summer. And obviously cultural programming, since it is tied to the former Masonic Temple, which is now the Cultural Arts Center. The proposed park includes benches and seat walls for sitting, trellises for shade, stage area for the performances, grass areas for sitting. It has proposed street lights and street trees to provide a defined streetscape along Atlantic Street and Warren Street. And it provides perimeter parking, both on-street parking along Atlantic Street and head-in parking along Warren Street. The budget for the project that the city had was approximately $610,000. We went out to bid, and the low base bid was from Let It Grow for $585,500. The city of Hackensack secured a $268,085 open space grant through the county. That was extended. Mr. Rutino had gotten that extended. And essentially what that means is that the park would need to be built and completed before October 31st, 2014 in order for those funds to be given to the project. So $585,500 project, $268,085 open space grant means that the estimated cost for the city would be $317,415. There have been some adjacent property owners, and I have copies of some of the letters from a couple of the adjacent property owners. So I'd like to walk through what the city had been proposing should the project move forward for the parking configurations. Currently, Lot W has 63 parking spaces. They have 47 metered spaces and 14 monthly spaces. The proposed project would place the 14 monthly spaces into the Atlantic Street garage. It would also provide an additional 38 monthly spaces to be made available for adjacent residents and/or business owners. We've also discussed the possibility of opening up 20 additional monthly spaces in Lot A, which you can access through the garage. 20 additional daily flat rate spaces would be provided in the Atlantic Street garage, and then 45 on-street metered spaces would be provided and on the perimeter of the park. So that is 63 total spaces existing and offering 137 parking spaces or 74 additional spaces with the parking that's being provided on the perimeter and all the parking that's being offered in Lot A and in the garage. The parking revenues that are currently in Lot W for the last 4 years, and this is the revenues, the rates that the city has taken in off of Lot W. Lot W currently has a 25-cent an hour rate. In 2010, it was slightly over $9,000. In 2011, it was $8,300. In 2012, it was $8,900. And in 2013, it was $9,735. Essentially, what that means is somewhere around 85 cents to $1 a day is what each space is making in terms of revenue, which is obviously very little in terms of the revenue. Now, there's been an issue that's come up lately in terms of the availability of parking on Lot W, and this has primarily been caused by the closure of the county parking lot, which they're currently building, the administration building with the 65,000 square feet and the 650 space parking garage. Obviously, all of those cars are intended to move over to the Bergen Record site for the daily parking. And what is happening is the cost for parking during the day at the Bergen Record site is $5 per day. So everybody that's coming to the courthouse is finding on-street parking and essentially being able to place $1 in a meter, and for $1 they can spend 4 hours at the courthouse. Essentially, for the equivalent of the $5 that they spend at their Bergen Record, it would be 20 hours of time that they could spend on Lot W. So that has caused a lot of the intermediate issues regarding the lack of parking that was addressed by one of the adjacent property owners. We did offer both the long-term, which was the 137 spaces, but we also offered short-term relief to the adjacent property owners, and that included opening up 38 parking spaces on the first level of the garage for free during construction until the 45 on-street metered parking spaces became available, and until the 137 total spaces were made available for long-term improvements. The other considerations that have been discussed in terms of how do you limit the residential parking from the adjacent property owner. 94 State Street, as you know, is under construction. I've spoken with the developer within the last month or so. They've indicated that they're going to try to start leasing that building sometime in the beginning of 2015. They have approximately 222 residential units approved. They have 140 spaces on site, and they have 120 spaces that they are renting from the Atlantic Street garage. The Atlantic Street garage currently has 433 parking spaces. 288 of those spaces are leased by the Hackensack University Medical Center on a month-to-month basis. The Hackensack University Medical Center understands that at any subsequent month and they have agreed that they will have to reduce the number of parking spaces they have out of the 288. The intent is that once the residential project needs those 120 spaces, that the 288 spaces would come, the 120 would come out of the 288. still leaving the 137 spaces available for the adjacent business owners. We've also talked about providing timed requirements. In other words, right now you can park in the Lot W for 12 hours. The idea would be to allow for a 90 to 120 minute time limit, which would not allow residents to park there during the day and then go to work. They would have to find parking off-street. So that would allow for continuous turnover by requiring the time parking. We've also talked about increasing the revenues, the rates from 25 cents up, again, so that if you're going to stay more than 4 hours, that you would be better off spending that money on an off-site parking space versus the on-street parking spaces. I also provided you some information just on the benefits of parks and open space, and I won't go into too much of that, just to tell you that that the statistics show that parks increase property values adjacent to it, decrease crime, decrease vandalism and graffiti, and so those are national statistics that were provided to you in your memo. I think at this point I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay. Questions from the council on this? I just wanted to make it clear that that 317 or that 268,000 open space grant can only be used for this park.
Yes.
Correct?
So the grant that was provided and is basically due October 31st. If it's not spent specifically on this park, it cannot be used on anything else.
Right. So we would.
The grant specifically states how many trees, how many benches, how much square footage of. So it is entirely tied to Atlantic Street Park. If the council chooses not to move forward with the project, then it would go away. You wouldn't have access to that money.
What's the deadline on the grant? You know?
The project has to be completed by October 31st, 2014. Essentially, we believe it's about a 4-month project. So you're at the point where you'd have to start within the next month and a half in order to make that deadline.
Thank you, Fran.
Can I ask one question quick? Fran, is it also true that this grant, it requires a matching fund by the city?
Yes. So when the grant application was applied and originally, there was a resolution that stated that the city was going to spend $268,050 for the purposes of constructing the park if they got a grant from the county for the $268,000. So it was a 50-50 grant. Matching grant. Obviously, the park project is slightly more expensive, given that it's been a number of years since the original resolution was adopted, but it's within the budget that we thought
Right,
it was going to be.
we actually, to be able to secure that grant, we have to spend about almost $540, like $536, I guess, $1,000.
Yes.
To obtain it, so we're pretty close with the 585.
Yes.
So it's not like we could take, just so the public understands, it's not like we could take the 268 and spend it and
No.
say, no contribution.
No, you cannot.
Have we approached, say, participants in the surrounding areas to see if they were interested in contributing towards that? For example, I know there's a new development going on right behind there, and this would certainly be a great benefit or attraction to people renting that. Or also the fact that the Masonic Lodge, has a firm basis in architectural design and it has some historic capabilities. Is there any way we could perhaps get some money, maybe from some type of a Masonic organization, or anyone that had a basis in a historic or maintaining historic sites that could help the city in their part of, or their half of this funding?
I did speak with the adjacent developer and asked him, and I simply indicated that that there was a need potentially for assistance financially for the project, and they value the project greatly and believe that it would enhance their particular project. They've indicated that there are a significant amount of money into their project out of pocket, and I not to say that it couldn't happen, it's just that the timing is so close to needing to start that I don't know a decision could have been made that quickly by the developer. In terms of additional money, all of that is open to being available. It's just those things take time. Usually those types of grants take anywhere from 9 to 12 months in order to secure. So
Okay,
that would
thank you.
be past the deadline.
Thank you, Fran.
One of my concerns is the existing cultural arts building is there now. It's midway through, still needs a lot of work, over $1 million worth of work to get the upstairs done. Offhand, how much have we spent on that building so far?
The renovations for the first phase, I believe, were in the $450,000 range
Right.
to open that building and make it ADA accessible.
And some of that was grant money too, also, I believe, wasn't it? Isn't there some ADA
I don't
grant?
recall that off the top of my
I
head.
believe there was. I'm just curious, maybe you could tell the council and the citizens that are here, what do you feel the impact would be on that project should this park not go up?
On the Cultural Arts Center?
Yes, would it have an impact?
I believe it would. I believe it would have a negative impact on the use of the Cultural Arts Center. I know that open space is a critical component to revitalization of a downtown. I think that if the council chooses not to move forward, that it would have a negative impact not only on potential development and developers that are looking for projects, but also certainly on the Cultural Arts Center and the potential programming that could be placed into that facility.
Thank you. Any other questions up here, the council?
Well, the only question that I got is, how many outdoor shows do you think we're gonna present that a year?
Well, I think that there are numerous opportunities. There are specific, obviously you have summer programming festivals where you have music in the park, but I think that you could essentially program this for 2 nights a week for at least three months, which would be the summer months. So that would be every
And that's
Friday,
it?
Saturday night. No, well, I think that this park would support all of the adjacent businesses in terms of the daily use for lunch. It would support the residents on nights and weekends. I think it would support seniors, and it would support kids programming as well. So, from my standpoint, I believe that it is actually, in terms of the types of users, it will be used by a lot of people, more groups of people than would use, say, an athletic facility like a field, because the field, that would be one, there'd be a lot more people using the fields, but this will be a lot more different types of people over different times using the field, so using the park. So
Okay,
Thanks, Brown.
thank you.
I'd like to call, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, do we want to have the public speak on this now? Because I know there's some people may be here just for that, or do we want to wait?
I don't know if you have to open up to the public now, Mayor.
No.
I'd have to ask the mayor, I'd have to ask the attorney on that if they can.
Mayor, it's up to the council. If the council wants to hear comments on this item, certainly within its province to do so.
Well, it's just that we have such a big crowd tonight, and some people may not want to wait through the whole public session. I don't know who's going to be in line first, but maybe we can just get this cleared off. So is there a problem with that out there from the public if we speak on this now? Whoever wants to speak on it? At this time, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. May I have a motion, please?
I'll offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Greenman.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye, and that's just on this particular subject that we're speaking, okay? Is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak about this park? Please come to the podium, give your name and address, please, to the clerk.
Good evening. My name's Jerry Lombardo. I'm the chairman of the Upper Main Alliance in Hackensack, which represents basically the business district from Atlantic Street to about Sears. And for all intents and purposes, we represent the whole street, even though from Atlantic Street to the courthouse has not been annexed yet. We still represent that portion of the street also. I've spent the better part of 10 years working on the downtown, trying to figure out if we can do anything with the downtown. Can it be done? Are we dreaming? And a whole host of other problems that we first faced when the Special Improvement District was formed back in, I think it was 2002, so it's 2003. So, and I've been the chairman for the past 11 years, and I have countless thousands of hours into meetings, trying to move the downtown forward. We've worked with several administrations, and I'm happy to work with this mayor and council. I would ask that you sort of put on a different sort of pair of glasses when you're looking at the downtown, okay? We're trying to develop something here that doesn't happen overnight. It takes years and years and years to get this done. Excuse me. One of the first things we wanted to do as business people, when we attack a problem, we don't attack it the way government attacks it. We attack it the way business people want to attack it. We brought in professionals to find out, does Hackensack have a chance to develop, or are we just wasting our time? You know, and they looked at everything. We brought in the best planners in the country, specialists at just downtowns, to try to find out the answers to these questions. And during the 10 years that I've been there, we found out some incredible things about Hackensack. One of them is we have probably not the best location in Bergen County. We probably have the best location in New Jersey. We beat Hoboken and a lot of these towns with New Jersey Transit just finished a study on Hackensack, declaring it one of the best located areas in northern New Jersey for what we want to happen. We're a transit city. We have highways. We have Route 46, Route 80, Route 4. We've got affluence all around us. We have proximity to New York. We have the medical center. We're the county seat. We have everything. Why isn't it happening? Why hasn't the downtown developed? Well, we found out it didn't develop because the zoning was archaic. So we set about, over a period of a couple of years, excuse me, we set about to systematically bring in professionals to help us with the zoning. And you know how hard it is to change zoning from Sears to the courthouse? It's virtually impossible to do it. We got it done. And the reason we got it done is because we showed them facts of why Hackensack's location, based on professional opinions, is so superior to other locations that what we want to happen here can happen here. Okay, so as we went through that period of time, the first thing the planners told us was they studied our downtown. We commissioned one study where they just came in and studied the whole downtown, every building. They logged all the historical buildings, which we obviously want to save. There's a tremendous amount of history in Hackensack. We have diversity, we have density, we have everything that it takes to make a great downtown. But we didn't have a plan. So one of the first things, all the planners, and I don't care, we brought in several really national downtown planners. The first thing they said is you have no open space in your downtown. So in any plan, and the plan the DMR has worked on, it's been fantastic. Fran is a forward-thinking downtown planner. He knows we are crucially short of open space. Walk in Manhattan, you walk 4 or 5 blocks, you pass 2 or 3 parks, couple open spaces. You need that if you're going to develop a downtown. And what I need the council to realize is that we're not in this this is not a short-term thing. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Okay, so I need you, when you think about things for the downtown at least, which is my business right now is the downtown, when you think about things for the downtown, think about them in a broader sense. We're not thinking about money that's needed for potholes or money that's needed for a civic center or a park. I know we're all short on money. You know, the town, when people ask me about, does Hackensack have any money to do anything, I usually say no. The town's probably broke, they don't have any money. Or whatever they have is completely spoken for. So, but these types of things send a signal to the development community. Now, we've spent 10 years bringing the development community to the table. They're there right now. And I have other witnesses here. You can talk to Eric Anderson, who's one of the biggest realtors around. The development community is here. They're excited about Hackensack, and they're willing to put risk capital. Do you know what risk capital is? You're not giving anything away in Hackensack. You're taking a guy who's going to come in and spend tens of millions of dollars to put up a building that he hopes people are going to occupy, and he hopes eventually they can make some money there. So if you have to give him a tax abatement to get him going, do it. You're giving away nothing. You're giving away snowballs in the middle of a blizzard here. Let's get the abatements done. Let's get everything that we have to do. It's kindling to get this thing going. Once we get it going, it's going to produce tax revenue that you never dreamed about. that you can do your civic centers, all the things that we want for the kids, the parks, the lights, whatever you guys want to do, you'll be able to do. But how are you going to do it? You got to generate some tax revenue. How are we going to generate tax revenue? There's no, Hackensack is built out. Where else are you going to build anything? But now we have the development community excited about the downtown to put up 4 or 5 or 6 projects that are going to generate eventually tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, new taxes, that you guys can use to do your civic centers, your gyms, whatever you want to do for the kids. You know, I'm in agreement with all that, but right now we don't have any money. So the only shot you got is if I can, or me and my group can get this downtown going, which I think we're right there. We are right on the edge. Now this park, okay, you've got a building that's 230 units that's going to be built right here. 230 apartments, brand new. They need a little open space next door. Let's get this done. This has been very well thought out by DMR. You're using your cultural center, and you're going to have a park here where you can get things done. You can have concerts and other types of open space. But you don't always have to have a concert to make a park worthwhile. You can have just an open space where you can go after lunch and you can walk and sit there. It's going to be well kept. The Upper Main Alliance will probably be involved at some point in picking up refuse and stuff in that park and keeping it in good shape. But we need this. Not only do we need this one, we need more. We need like 4 or 5 more sprinkled throughout the downtown. Where are we going to get them? Streetworks, which is one of the biggest downtown developers, they identified Atlantic Street as a gateway. When they looked at, they didn't know anything about it. They came to us, they said, this is a gateway to Hackensack here. You know why? The hospital's up here, the medical center, and the only one of the biggest ways to access the downtown is through Atlantic Street. So if we have a park to show off, you've got a couple of other contemplated developments along Main Street that are well along now. So if they happen, we're going to need not only this park, but maybe another 1 or 2 open spaces along the way. So we're talking about $300,000 of money. All right, it's a lot of money. $1 is a lot of money, but $300,000 in the scheme of what we're trying to do here is like seed money. So if to explain it another way, we're getting a grant for $268,000, which is going to vanish if we don't start the park. We lose it. We can't use it for anything else. The only thing we can use it for is this park. So if we don't do the park, we lose the $268,000. And right now, the city would have to augment that with another $300,000. We get the whole park done for $500,000, $560,000, or whatever the math adds up to. Believe me, in the scheme of what we're trying to do in the downtown, it's a very small amount of money. The potholes that you fill, if you don't want to do this and you start fill some potholes on Prospect. I drive around the city. I know there's potholes. I wish they were filled too. But I want to get this park done so that I can produce 20 times the amount of taxes that you guys are going to need to do all the projects that you need. I can't have you waffling on the downtown now. Builders want to see these types of things. The first thing they ask us, is the town supporting this? The builder who's doing this 230 units is already worried the town's waffling on the park. So the commitment they have to feel the commitment out there in the development community. I mean, Eric and Anderson can tell you the first question they ask, where does the mayor and council stand on this kind of stuff? Where do they stand on giving pilots to people that are doing, tax abatements to people that are putting up projects? Where do they stand on all this? Where do they stand on the one-way, two-way street that we need? There's no successful downtown in the country that's one-way, none. So this street has to go back to two-way if it's ever going to be a successful downtown. That money, that's more money that's going to have to be spent. However, we'll get there. But I'm trying to, we walk before we run. If we just take a step at a time, show the commitment, but I can't have the council waffling on the downtown now. I need your commitment. If you want me to keep working, I need you guys to keep working. Your individual things notwithstanding, I respect everybody's positions on everything, but no, when it comes to the downtown, you guys got to huddle together and say, guys, we're going to get this done. So that's really all I have to say, but I support it, and I would urge everyone else to support what's happening here. Even though we need pothole fixers and we need other rec centers and everything else, we got to get this done, because this will produce the taxes that Hackensack needs into the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak on this park and this park only? Just on this park.
Mr. Scrivo, I just want to ask a question quickly. With the open public records and open, is texting allowed by the council while the meeting's going on? I thought anything has to be for the public to hear. So if people are up here texting, is that allowed?
Mayor, Mayor, the council passed a resolution opening the public, Mayor, the council passed a resolution opening the public session to this item and this item only. If the council would like to abide by that resolution, then I'll await until there's a full public
Well, I'll ask
session.
at this time, if anybody is up here is texting or on their phone or anything, please stop. I would appreciate it, thank you. Citizens deserve our attention.
Charles P. McAuliffe, 119 Dorchester Road, Hackensack, New Jersey. Charles P. McAuliffe, 119 Dorchester Road, Hackensack, New Jersey. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I agree with Jerry about the park. I agree that it would make a nice thing. However, developers can also spend money on parks to entice developers. We say, look, we'd really like you to build a park. You got a guy that's going to build 230 units right across the street. How deep are his pockets? Has anybody questioned him on his pockets? Anybody? How old is this grant? When was this grant given? How old is it?
This grant was given through the last council, and when we lost it, because it wasn't moved forward, and Mr. Ratina was able to recapture it, but it has to be used. At that time, it could have been used for the building and/or the park.
I remember making the application when I was on the council for this park. I remember. I also
No, I
remember
don't
working
remember
with
that.
DMR. So it's not that there's a rush. This money be laying around somewhere. What are they going to do with it? They're going to burn the money?
We'll
The
lose that
developer, the
68.
developer can help out. You know, like, I honestly think that you really got to sit back and say what's going on. You know, like you got the thing Davies and the Bergen record, okay? The deal fell apart. So now in the record this past weekend, it comes out and it says that City of Hackensack, they're going to go to the first meeting. They're going to go with Mr. Ricino. They're going to go with an economic advisor, and they're going to go with an economic attorney paid for by the taxpayers. Why? On a first meeting. This is a private real estate transaction. We have no standing in that. It's kind of like if we're going to send all these people, it's like when you're going out on your first date and you bring your parents with you. And I mean, I don't understand where the money's coming from. If Mr. Rocino is the economic development man, his primary function, he's a big boy, he can go by himself. Yeah, we have no standing in this transaction. I'm sorry that Davies' record deal fell apart, but this developing the record got to work it out. So I really, really believe that you guys got to figure out this part. Is it really that crucial, right at this particular moment, to worry about $300,000? I don't think so. I think you got a lot of potholes that have to be filled. That's what I think. But you guys are the mayor and council.
Yes,
The
we
people
are.
elected you.
Yep.
Do what they want you to do. Be fair.
Thank you, sir.
I'm done, by the way.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, public.
Good evening.
Eric Anderson. What was his name? What was the gentleman's name? Joe?
Mr. McAuliffe.
Joe? Hi, how are you? I appreciate your statements. I just want to make something clear from where I look at things in Hackensack. Not that,
He should be addressing you.
Excuse me.
It's not-
Excuse me. No back and
sorry,
forth that way,
I
please.
apologize.
Mr. Anderson,
you, I
address
appreciate that.
us and,
Okay, so just
thank you.
to make a point, Hackensack, as Jerry said, has major opportunities right now. The potholes that this gentleman was just worried about will have enough money to fill themselves if the development of downtown moves forward. If the development of downtown moves forward, there will be all new opportunities here with plenty of rateables to come and build a civic center, to fill potholes, to offer many more opportunities to the school and to continue to make Hackensack a better city than it already is, a city in motion, as I think we're still called. So being involved in the downtown for about 10 years, knowing what it was like to get streetworks here, to get the city to make changes and to actually move projects forward was very, very difficult. And I don't know if the public understands that, or if they understand that the better our downtown is, the better the rest of Hackensack is. The better the rest of Hackensack is, the higher your property values are, the lower your taxes will be, okay? This is not about the developer, as our one gentleman said, that we should take the money from the developer. The developers barely want to come into Hackensack as it is. We have to entice them. We have to show them the opportunities that are here. Everybody thinks that we're giving away, well, I'm not giving away, but everybody thinks that the city council is giving away Hackensack. That's not the case here. They're making smart decisions to try to entice new development for the city, which is then going to bring ratables, make the city a better place, and lower your taxes. And I support the park, and I support all of the council, and I know that you will all do the right thing. Thank you.
Victor Sasson, 261 Euclid Avenue, Hackensack. It's refreshing to see a change in the city that would add to the quality of life here. I know that the council is interested in increasing the ratables and covering every space available with apartments, but something like this is for everybody, and it's really necessary, I think. You know, you have Sanzari Plaza across from the courthouse. You can have this. You could have other little vest pocket parks. It's really an important thing to the life of a city. People strolling through downtown, when they see something like that, I think it's very important. Filling potholes, and God knows I've been publishing photos of potholes on my blog for the last few months, is not as important as doing something like this. So I urge the council to try to find the money. Also, you might consider starting negotiations again, as I've mentioned, with the tax-exempt entities in the city, including the hospital, to see if they can contribute some money towards something, an improvement like this, which is for everybody in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Karen Kleiman, 277 Prospect Avenue. Okay, so I live on Prospect Avenue, and I've had to have 3 tires replaced from your potholes. I think we should worry about our potholes, and I mean, I had to pay out $1,500 out of my own pocket for potholes just from Prospect Avenue alone. So I think we should focus on Prospect Avenue and all the other streets, Euclid, all these other streets that have tons of major craters, not even potholes. The park, I think it's on the lower half of Main Street, even though it's for the Upper Main Street Coalition. So I don't know. I know usually in a lot of places developers develop their own little open space for their condos or apartments. I'm a realtor, so I would know that part of it. So I don't know if maybe the city has to contribute that. My taxes are high enough. I don't want to have another 300,000, as I think you were mentioning, 300,000. Right, something like that. So our taxes are high enough. I pay for a 1-bedroom apartment on Prospect, a little over $6,000 a year. That's a lot. You can buy a house, and like on Ross. So I sold a house on Ross, and the taxes are only $6,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. So we have to figure out the economics of this whole thing. Thank you.
Good evening, Kathleen Salvo. It seems like potholes versus parks tonight. I commend the Upper Street and Main Street Alliance. It hasn't been easy with them through the years because all the past administrators have not really cooperated because it took them so long to get down to past the Main and Mercer. But I need clarification. A bond is not a freebie. We have to pay the bond, right? We the taxpayers are responsible for the bond.
Well, if we bond,
Grant, whatever you want to call it, the bond or the grant?
The grant money, we pay for the project, and once the project's done, we receive the grant.
Okay, so total amount, because I heard 600,000,
Correct.
is we're going to have to be responsible for that.
We pay that, and then we get reimbursed the $268,000.
Okay, so it's money out of pocket. All right. The thing is that open space, it seems like we don't have these things that happen now. We have a great, the Green, and we do summer programs. We have a wonderful portable stage that's brought in for these programs. It's not like we don't have these things do exist. They're taking place now. So it's not like we're absent of them. They're in existence. So just to put them in a different location is fine, is not fine with me. Parking is probably the most important thing here. I don't know. I see Mr. Lombardo referred to me as an opponent because he took out a little ad in the Chronicle saying that there's opponents to the park. I'm opposed to the park. I mentioned it last time. I think that there could be time for us to come back and do it. There's no great hurry for it, and I still stand opposed for it. I think the person who's developing the property on State Street there with the 220 things, and he doesn't have a blade of grass, he doesn't have a tree, he doesn't have a shrub. It's so commercial, it's so ugly, and he should have been the one to put this park in. Stuyvesant Town in New York, Peter Cooper's Village in New York, these are all multi-family apartment houses, and they all provide greenery for the location. He's doing this, and he wants us to foot his locations to make his rentals look more appealing. We shouldn't have to foot their bill. And as I spoke to before, we in Hackensack have been waiting a long time for a recreation center. Our last money that was spent was in 1976 when they destroyed Broadway School. We were supposed to get a boys' club and girls' club, but that went to a building department. Our kids have been put on the back burner too long. And any money like this, it can wait. If the developers are so gun-ho about this, we can get the grant at another time. We could apply for it next year, go to these developers and ask them to chip in. When Florida does projects, what do you call it? The developer contributes to the city. We shouldn't be giving them all these freebies because it's going to be a long time before we see this revenue to come back and help us with our taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meg Archie, 166 Catalpa Avenue. This is a very project that could really tear you up because in a lot of ways I understand that it would be a great thing to take the chance and spend the money now to attract the development. But it's strange that the state is facing a tremendous deficit. And Christie is going to be looking for that money someplace. And I think he's going to come to the people. Come to places like Hackensack and hit us with tremendous taxes all over again. I don't think we should spend the money right now. I would say that this is a really chancy thing. You don't know whether it's going to work. If we put it off for a year, we could maybe try again next year and apply for a grant. But we're looking at a tremendous deficit in the state, and I think that Christie will be looking to us to pay it.
Thank you. Almost.
Good evening.
Evening.
Brownita Sharif, 2nd Street. Parks are lovely. But what about developing the parks that we have? That would be a nice picturesque park for downtown. But what about the kids that live midtown, uptown? They're not going down there. We don't use the M&M building. Mr. Rotino, we talked about our multicultural center, which is more of a priority for our children in this city, for our senior citizens. We need those. That seems to be me on the back burner. I haven't heard anything more. I saw pictures. They say pictures is worth 1,000 words. Well, not in this case, those pictures that I saw. I see no movement on that project for our children. And we need movement. We don't need parks where we can play outside. We need stuff for our senior citizens, and we need things for our children. What happened to the projects that the home team and the city were working on for 13 years? Can anybody answer that? Is it moving? Mr. Rotino, Mr. Mayor?
Which project are we talking
The
about?
multicultural center, the community pool.
We've
We've
they're
talked
two
about
separate
it.
entities. There has been movement as far as, we have the renderings drawn, and again, we have to look for the money. That's gonna be a big bonded project.
That's a great big project. So why can't we take this money that we're trying to concentrate in these small areas like this park and use it for our seniors
We
and our
can, but
children?
what we're emphasizing here is we will lose $268,000.
I don't think a lot of us are really worried about that. People are saying to postpone it. Mr. Mayor, our children, our seniors,
Since the past, since that St. Patrick's Day affair, Catherine, I met your mother, 95 years old, a beautiful person. I have worked so much with the seniors lately. My mother herself, 92, in the hospital, and there's so much that the seniors need. The children, we've lost children. I've lost so many. We had a big loss in our family years ago, which everyone knows that. We need something for our children. Let's make that our priority. These other little projects, the developers, they can work on that. Other people can let them work on that. But let's get something for our seniors and our children, which is more crucial for us. That should be number one.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is F.J. Williams. I represent Metropolitan Holdings. I just want to ask a question. I see everybody doing. I lived in Harlem. I seen where Harlem changed. It's going to be just like that in Hackensack. I hear everybody talking about downtown and Prospect. The black community is caught in the middle of this. Nobody's saying anything how to improve the black community. Everything is done is on the east side of the track, and then when you go up the hill, that's it. What's going to happen? The same thing happened here in New York. I hate to say it this way, all the Caucasians, once Clinton came in there, all the Caucasians came into Harlem. Things changed. I used to get in the Apollo. I can't get in the Apollo now because the Caucasians is getting in there.
Mr. Williams,
you know what I mean? I'm just explaining to you, sir.
I understand, but try to stick to the park.
Well, I'm sticking to the
Are
park.
you against the park or for the
But we're talking
park?
about parks. You're talking about downtown. I haven't heard nobody say nothing
Well,
about
the park is downtown. That's why we're
No,
talking
I'm
about
saying,
the park.
sir, but what about us up here in the black community?
I understand what
And
you're
you're talking
saying.
about Prospect. There's no place to park here, and all this here is changing. This is what I'm saying. I hear nobody never say what's going to happen in the middle. That's all I'm asking you. Downtown, Prospect, I'm down in the valley. When you open up the gates, I'm going to get flooded out. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Anyone else on this subject? Seeing none?
Right.
Oh, all right, one more.
Peter Marcassani, 65 Davis Avenue. There you go. Thank you very much. Man says.
Want to use this one, Mr. Marcassani? Right here by our CFO.
I think we got it.
You got it?
Mr. Mangan doesn't want my germs.
Thank you, James.
I just want to be on the roll. Now I'll switch.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, we're working now?
Yes, sir.
I better hold it up just to make sure. I just want to say a couple of things because it's really been potholes versus park. This park is going to be built. It's a beautiful park. My father was an architectural engineer. Hate to say it, but he worked on a Port Authority bus terminal many years ago. He's responsible for the flyovers. This is a beautiful piece. The problem is if they build it, they will come, or when they come, we will build it. That seems to be the bottom line. And also the fact of whether or not it's worth forfeiting the immediate grant from the county in lieu of trying to reapply for that at a later time. Just a quick reminder that we want to put a park where we don't have a cultural arts center yet. We have a half-completed building that was purchased with a bond for $1 million that really required a lot more repairs than people realized at the time it was purchased. Quite frankly, in my opinion, it's not a very attractive building, but that's neither here nor there. The second floor has to be finished, it has to be air-conditioned, and a lot of money has to be put into it. Two-way Main Street, I don't know about that. If they come, we will put two-way Main Street. If they don't come, we'll leave it one way. Where is the money going to come for two-way Main Street and the park and the completion of the Cultural Arts Center? Not to mention the potholes, other contractual obligations that the city's going to have. So this thing has to be really considered in its totality. The park is great. Mr. Lombardo, again, with the info, what do you want to call it? I want to say the editorial that was in the paper rallying the troops. I mean, that's good. I mean, inviting the people, but it was a little bit adversarial in the sense that people wanted to vote the park down. We need the park. It has to go in. Does it have to go in now? I don't think so. And I think it has to be considered in the context of the other issues. Thanks a lot.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Albert Dibb, 169 Euclid Avenue. I'm up here wearing a few different hats, and every time I come up here, I wonder whether or not it's the best thing in the world to do. But you know, life is short, so I'm gonna speak my piece. I am an employee of the City of Hackensack. I answer to all of you. I am the executive director of the Upper Main Alliance. I've been working with that organization now for about 10 years, and I'm not going to echo what I think our chairman and Eric Anderson had put pretty pointedly. What I will say is this. I'm 42 years old. I am the father of a 6-year-old daughter, and I've heard a lot of people come up here and talk about the children. I'm the city historian. I've had an opportunity to look at the city's history pretty extensively in the years that I've been coming to the meetings and the years since I've been working here. I am going to stake my reputation as a resident and a professional right now on this park. I'm going to do it for my daughter, for her friends, for all the people that are growing up in Hackensack who are going to need the ratables that you all need and your successors will need to get things done in this town. Without it, this is an opportunity. It's a golden opportunity, and it's about to sail. If it doesn't happen now, there's a good chance this won't happen. We've waited too long. We've invested too much. This has got to happen. And I appreciate all of you have to make decisions that affect everybody in the city, and the weight of the world is kind of on your shoulders right now. But give this all the consideration that it's due, and for God's sakes, make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak on this subject? Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
I'll offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Greenman.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay. Onward.
Mr. Mayor, just one comment that was made about the rec center and what was going on with it.
Yes.
That space over there was declared green acres in the 70s where Johnson Park is.
Mm-hmm.
We had to do a search to see if the property was considered funded or unfunded so that we could do something with the park. Luckily, it was considered unfunded, but after it was declared green acres, a gun range was put in the back of the property, but it was 1977, and I think the property was declared green acres in 74. Right now, we have Archer and Griner working on it because they have a relationship with Green Acres and the state to see if we could work through that so that if we met with Green Acres here, and if we can overcome the problem with the shooting range, besides the remediation, you know, there's an issue with the Green Acres, with the range being there, that the public possibly could have been denied open space or Green Acres with that range being there, so we try to have to work through that very diligently. But Green Acres, when they were here, did say they give you grants for pools, where Green Acres funds the pool for you. So we're working toward that. That's still moving forward. And right now we're waiting for Archer and Griner to get back to us. We got them on board about 3 weeks ago because we hit a stone wall because of the range in the back. As far as where the money comes from, you know, the proposals and the renderings that were done for the community center, you know, project that size could be anywhere around $10 to $12 million. Plus the pool, plus there's a talk of a recreation bubble to go with the rec center and the pool. So these are all things that are moving forward. You know, there are challenges that come along with it, and we're trying to overcome them to move forward to get things for the kids in other locations in the city as well. Next, I'd like to call up Lenny Beer to discuss you know, the parking situation and the parking authority for Hackensack.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Len Beer. I'm the parking consultant that is working with the city relative to your existing parking utility. It's quite a night you have going on here this evening, and one of the gentlemen actually put it, do you build it and they come, or do you wait until they come, then you build it? And obviously in parking, you have to build it before they come, otherwise there's no place for them to park when they get here. So at least in my business, we have to think about these things and build them in advance. I was asked today to speak. As you know, you have a parking utility, which that organization is a subset of the municipal government. Right now, amongst other things, in addition to the park, which you're considering, you're also looking at your what we call Parking Lot C, which is the rather large parking lot adjacent to Fashini Park, the Ice Quad Arena, and the Bowler Center, which the city is considering putting into development. And that plan of the city's, the reason we're talking about the parking authority is the possibility of giving the city the maximum flexibility in how to put that into a development project. I've been working with your city manager, with Fran, with your council, and one of the things as we've been working through this process and looking at how do you do this, how do you put it out? Do you put it out as a RFP, request for proposals, request for qualifications? Do you put it out as surplus property, which is obviously not the best way to do that, because the real interest here for the city is not simply acquiring the highest price, but the best price and the best project for the city to show that the city is open for development. So if you consider a parking authority, that gives you your maximum flexibility. The parking authority allows you to do a lot of things in the context of development. First of all, the city, although you have designated this as an area of redevelopment, which allows the city to negotiate with a developer relative to the disposition of the site. If you have a parking authority, none of the disposition and statutes relative to surplus property or property for development apply. Parking authorities have very, very powerful redevelopment statute. The parking authority statute is 40.
May I stop?
Sure.
It's very distracting. Members of the audience are discussing stuff.
All right, please, audience, please. Thank you.
Thank you. The parking authority statute, which is 40:11A, and I'm sure you haven't read it, but if you had the opportunity to read it, you'll see that it's really, in addition to dealing with parking and the parking issues, it's an incredible an incredible redevelopment statute. It allows a parking authority to do anything other than sell gasoline and tires. So a parking authority can do what's called a 3P, public-private partnership with the developer. You could do a situation where the city or the parking authority chooses to build the parking garage. A developer can build the parking garage, but you can utilize public bonding to do that with the developer's guarantee, because I know the public here is very concerned about their taxes and being taxed for a improvement. But you can use the fact that a parking authority could go out to market for 30-year bonding. You can do that as both exempt and non-exempt financing. That's at a better rate than any developer in the world can borrow at. Developers cannot borrow for 30-year term at a fixed rate, which a municipality can do through its parking authority. So the city manager asked me just to come here tonight to bring this to your attention, that it's something that you may want to consider as an option to allow the city to have, quite frankly, the maximum flexibility. If you want to look at other environments that have taken advantage of their parking authority, that have been successful, New Brunswick's been exceptionally successful in that respect. The parking authority in New Brunswick, which I represent as its general counsel and also as one of its parking consultants, we just completed a massive redevelopment project where Rutgers University was our partner. They built a Barnes & Noble bookstore, which is the Rutgers University bookstore. The parking authority built 40,000 square feet of office, which is owned and operated by the parking authority. We sold 10,000 square feet of office to Rutgers University. We have on grade over 20,000 square feet of retail that the parking authority owns and operates. We have a enterprise rental center in there. Brother Jimmy's from New York is our tenant. We have 6-story of market rate apartment, which is owned by a private developer, by Penrose Properties. And then we have 3 stories of condominium development on top of that that's owned by the New Brunswick Development Corp. All of that was done as a 3P through the Parking Authority. Parking Authority acquired the land, Parking Authority did the financing. You know, relative to, I don't want to deal with the park per se, but relative to some of the comments about if you build a park and you use public dollars and maybe a developer benefits from that, what the public needs to know is if the city is embarking on the path, if the city is deciding that you want to have a renaissance, if you want to redevelop the city, if you want the city to improve, in Rahway, where I serve as the director of the Parking Authority and its general counsel, and have been its parking consultant for over 20 years, the city bought and spent $1 million to take down all the buildings in front of the train station because you couldn't see it and create a public plaza. That was done at city expense. That resulted ultimately in a developer building across the street from that plaza and building a 14-story building with a 110-room hotel and 220 apartment and condominium units adjacent to a parking garage that was built by the authority, by the city, as a result of the Parking Authority selling a parking lot to another developer who built 136 units, market rate units. It's all a synergy. All of this fits together. Sometimes the city has to go out in front end. If you look at New Brunswick, if you consider New Brunswick as a model for redevelopment, that redevelopment started in 1977. We're still doing projects. It's 37 years later. We're still building the downtown. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens one step at a time. Part of the city has to spend money to do that. The newest project that we just built would not have been built without Build America bonds from the federal government, without a URG, Urban Redevelopment Grant from the state of New Jersey. The newest apartments that are going up by Boerite Development, who's partners with Shack, that got a $3 million grant from the state of New Jersey. So even in urban environments, I mean, other than Jersey City, down at Newport Center, other than Hoboken, almost all urbans need some subsidy, pilots, contributions, and so I know there's been a lot of talk, but you know, at almost a 50-50 matching grant on a park, that's good money. I understand, and I do sympathize with the citizens of Hackensack. I've been on some of the roads that they've discussed tonight and had, you know, my car also in those potholes as well. But sometimes we have to just sort of grin and bear it a little longer to affect the change that will ultimately result in change for the entire city. I got a little off, course there for a second, but what I want you to understand is if you look at where it's been done, if you're in Morristown, which used its parking authority very effectively, if you're in Rahway, which used it effectively, if you're in New Brunswick, all these things are public-privates using a parking authority basically as a redevelopment entity. So it's something for the mayor and council to consider. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Mr. Beer, would you be able to supply us, or a city manager who would supply us with just some basic information on the authorities and how they work and how they're manned and...
Absolutely. I can present you with a description of how the authority would work and some case studies if you're interested on urban development through the authority. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
other questions, council? No? Thank you, Mr. Beer.
Thanks. The next issue that's up is Green Street parking meters. Everything was ordered and will be installed on May 6th. Item number 4, capital expenditures that we're proposing are items that have been needed to be replaced for some time. The police department phone system and the radio consoles. Al Dibb's been working with us on this. He's been trying to work with some projects. We got numbers in the $50,000 range for the phone system, and the number for the radio consoles has been running between 145 and 195. So we're trying to hone in on that to get that resolved. We're going to see if that could be a partnership between the fire department and the police department to put that together. The 911 system is antiquated. There's only one company left that, from what I understand, that can support it. We have an ordinance that was put in place to fund that, so we wouldn't have to borrow any money for that. We actually had some old ordinances that were funded that were laying around that Mr. Mangan was able to put together. So most of this money can be funded. We can't use it as revenue. It has to be go toward capital expenditures. We have a recreation van that we need to purchase for the rec department. They have one now with over 100 and something thousand miles that needs a steering rack. It's not worth replacing. The Dodge Caravan through state contract is around $24,000 to $25,000. We're also looking at police department vehicles. I met with the director. We went through some lists. I also met with Brian Corcoran, Lieutenant Brian Corcoran, who gave me a list of vehicles that could come out of service that have approximately 100,000 miles on them, 90 to 100,000 miles on them. About 7 vehicles in question. We're looking to put 4-wheel drives in service. The Hudson Street cameras. Another camera company came in last week and met with one of the council members and Mr. Dibb, who's given us one last proposal for additional sites in the city. The bid that we have now, we got down to $40,000 for the cameras that were in question. Computers, we need about 50 computers. Windows XP no longer has support. We have 50 computers that we bid out, and the number is $43,000 to replace all the computers in the city. Again, we're using capital money that was put aside previously. And the final thing is the website, to redesign the city website and get the redevelopment site up and operational. To do everything, it came to $8,800 to put everything together, redesign, make it accessible. We have information of like what the top hits would be on the site, whether it's for a birth certificate, building department, and whatnot, so that it'll be a little bit more user-friendly, easier for people to use and operate. Next item is the no smoking signs that are going around through the city and the city cars. We're installing them. There's also 2 other things that we had that were sent to us by the county, other municipalities. One is and I sent this over to the director, and the council got a copy of this, and I just need to know if the council wants to move forward with this and if the police director does. It's a resolution for participation in the Bergen County Mutual Aid and Rapid Deployment Force. It basically sounds like a SWAT team. The director could probably speak more to you on that, but on the sample resolution, you'll see it's a description of just what it says. It's a rapid deployment force. The next one is a flood mitigation for Bergen and Passaic counties, municipalities that have been affected by flooding, for 30 to 40 years. That have been trying to work with the state, trying to work with the county. This is really to be sent to the politicians involved, the state, the governor, the assembly people, the senators, to really try to put some pressure on them to help our areas in need that have chronic flooding that we can't solve. We've had some success with cleaning some pipes and getting things organized. Actually, we've had some really great success. We had a meeting today with PSC&G to talk about their building and what we're going to try to do on their street with some grant money that we received. So also I need feedback from the council on that if they'd like to have a resolution prepared to move forward with that. We also had a note sale this week, or last week, that we have to put on the record. Shifley, do you have the numbers on that? You could put it into record, sure.
Okay. Yeah, on April 28th, we had our bond anticipation note sale. And this was the renewal of 2 issues for some 2010 ordinances. And the winning bid was won by TD Bank with a net interest rate of 0.54%, which is actually a very good rate. 0.54%, it impressed me. By way of comparison, last year's rate was 0.6912. Okay? And again, this was to finance 2 2010 ordinances, one having to do with unused sick and vacation payouts, and another one having to do with the refund of tax appeals. Okay, bond anticipation notes are short-term financing, only good for 1 year. So these notes now will then mature in May of 2015. Okay.
Thank you. Good. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. This time, I'm going to get ready to open this meeting to the public. Before I do, I want to set the ground rules by which a session and all sessions of this mayor and council will be conducted. I realize public comment session of meetings provide the public with the opportunity to make comment and ask reasonable questions to the governing body. This is arguably the most important part of our council meeting, should be treated as such. We take this portion of the meeting seriously. We ask that you do the same. I ask you to do this in a civil and constructive manner. Name-calling, threats, baseless accusations, or assaults on one's character or ethnicity will not be tolerated. Anyone who attempts to disrupt this meeting or engages in conduct outside the boundaries of appropriate decorum will have their time at the podium terminated and be asked to leave the council chambers. At this time, I'd like a motion to open this meeting to the public, please.
Offered.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, if you'd like to speak, you come up to the podium, give your name and address to the clerk.
Main Fry, 340 Hudson Street, Apartment 23, Hackensack, New Jersey. Hello. Now, Mr. Fry here, I'm a spiritual fighter. When it comes down to seeing human beings, I see blind, colorblind. It's only one God in this world. Whatever you call Supreme Being or whatever, Allah, I don't care. It's only one. Now, I've been walking all day. I had to walk the Teeterbird almost to load out 46 and back crying. Back up Little Ferry, crying. Because don't nobody help me but God. And the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. That's all I got. Why do you have certain officers on the force think they got power? You know what I was told? I was told, Dave Sims, you know better. You're nobody. Last night I was told you the mayor. You're nobody. That's politics. Sergeant Martina, Marion, whatever his name is. He said, y'all nobody. Now, the other two officers, they were scared. I was called out my name, N-word and everything. I sat there in the car. You know, I left peaceful after he tried to pull his gun on me in my apartment. After he cussed me and tried to provoke me. Like I said, you provoke a child, not a grown man. Then when I told him I got the right man selling, that's when he got very, very mad. That's when he threatened me. He got very mad. Then he pushed me against my wall. That's when he said, you're going to walk out of here. You're going to take fall. But you know what? I did. And I sat in that jailhouse last night like Martin Luther King with a smile on my face praying. Until one of them officers came in there, want to take my photo. You know what he said? Where the TV at? I said, I'm the TV. You're not going to break me down. I'm a spirit. You ain't going to break me down. Not Jermaine Fry. You won't. Now it's a war. I done talked to Attorney General this morning. I done called Christian people. It's a war. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what? They went in my, I know they went in my palm. I seen the fire. Look up the report. Fire truck went up there like 2:30. I was watching them. But you know what? I got another phone coming on with the camera. But I'm putting cameras in there Friday, and I'm gonna buy another radio Friday. Because 8 in the morning, 10 o'clock, I can play that radio. 10 o'clock at night, and the lease is, it says don't play it. 8 o'clock. Al Borelli tell me getting a lawsuit. I'm going to open up a case. I have an entertainment lawyer. Alan Kress in New York, New York. That's my entertainment lawyer. And I'm gonna get a defender lawyer. It's war. It's a spiritual war. Like I said, I don't see color. Don't no man on this earth give me nothing but Pastor Donson right there on Trinity Place, King's Court. I go to church there. I pray with everybody. I pray across the street with the Muslims too. I pray with everybody because there's only one God. That's what I'm trying to tell you people. We human. Why can't we get along? No, I wasn't born in the 50s, but we not in the 50s no more. When are we gonna change in this world? The youth, that's why these kids going crazy, because there ain't no love here. It's only two things that's powerful. Love, really three, your word and forgiveness. Nobody does. I do it. I'm hurt every day. I hurt people do me all kind of ways. But when I say no, I want to be to myself, I can't be to myself because people keep calling my phone. You know, I quit shop right at Hackensack Day. I served them people over there. Ask them. When I left there today, I was shopping. The customer like, oh, you don't work? No, I don't. I serve them people hand and foot. That's what Jesus Christ did, and I do it. That's why I said I'm his brother. Oh, you said you're right. I'm crazy. I'm a nut. Guess what? They need to get crazy and be a nut just like me, because that's the only person. Don't no man give me nothing. Yes, I got my license. I know what? I give all glory to God. Yet He helped me. That's all who helped me. I'm going further, and ain't nobody gonna stop me. I'm like James Brown. I'd rather die standing on my feet than keep living on my knees.
Right.
And that's amen to that. I'm going.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. Charles McCall of 119 Dorchester Road, Hackensack, New Jersey. This regarding the parking situation in the city of Hackensack. I don't know how familiar you are with it and how many hands are in the pie here on this parking situation, but you have the DPW collects the money for the traffic department. And they go and they take a box that's filled with quarters and they dump it into a bag. And then the bag goes to the tax collector, which in an armored car vehicle picks it up and weighs it. And the armored car people make the deposit money. This is on the meters. Now, I don't know how many nickels and dimes can be lost going through an armored car vehicle, but before you're talking about giving out the parking to some authority, you should really make a parking authority, because they're all different. They're all different. There's not one uniform Hackensack parking authority. It's all over the place. Who collects money for what? Who collects checks for this? And I just have a problem with people taking a bag and weighing it and saying, well, I think you have $55 in this bag. I mean, we have enough money to buy counters that we can count our own money. Or maybe we can go to Holy Trinity and borrow their counter. They count money every Sunday. So maybe we can borrow them and do some sort of a shared agreement with them. But before you go out giving out the parking authority, just take care of your in-house and find out who's doing what. Like I say, DPW supports they collect the money, but they work under the traffic department for the Hackensack Police Department. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's all.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Alexis Palinkas, 235 Prospect. I have two questions. The first one is, could you explain Channel 77 on Cablevision? I put it on, and today for 10 minutes, all it said was Johnson Library, go to the Buckles website. I haven't seen it. Are we using it?
Right now, it's used basically by the Board of Education, runs their meetings through there. And I think there's some, like you just saw, some scrolling being done maybe for the library. The council meetings are not on there as of yet.
Right.
We are looking into that.
But it used to be where there would be, scrolling, and it would say that a meeting is happening, a council meeting is going to be
Right.
this night, and that doesn't seem to be anymore. We don't pay for that, do we?
No.
No, okay. But will there be something more sort of like what's on the website, but on the screen?
We're looking at doing something with Channel 77. I know the Board of Ed controls something through their system right now where they get on. We're looking to do something similar here. Right now, we post our meetings on YouTube, and people have to go on the internet to watch it.
Yeah, right.
But
Well, when you do go into that, see if you could take away the sound from Channel 78, because while it's
that might be a
scrolling
tough
through-
one.
Yeah, but while it's scrolling through, it has the Johnson Library and there's a lady praying in the background, and it's really kind of wild.
Yeah.
I couldn't
I'll check
figure
that
out
out.
exactly what it was.
77, that's FiOS or cable? That's
Cablevision, yeah. And my other question is, at the last council meeting, I asked for a clarification on the parking meters. And is it 9 to 6 or 9 to 9? Did you get that straightened out?
The attorney's actually going to redo it and put it on for, I believe it's the next meeting. I spoke to Joe Morris about it. There's a parking there was a typo on it. Yeah, on the ordinance, and he was going to redo it, and he didn't get back to me to let me know if it was 9 to 6 or 9 to 9.
It's 9 to,
6.
I think it was 9 to, it's 9 to,
Used to be 9 to 6, I thought.
9 to 6.
9 to 6.
It was 9 to 6.
Okay, so there are no changes in that?
No,
It's
just the typo's going to be corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Judith Carter, 214 Hamilton Place. I was wondering if maybe you can get some signs up on Hamilton Place, because we have children out there and we have cars flying down Hamilton Street, Hamilton Place. So can you have someone look into that?
Absolutely.
Slow down.
Yeah, slow down, children playing or something, because it's ridiculous how they come flying through there.
That's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, correct?
Yes, but they don't know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
I'm going to follow that lady with what's happening in my neighborhood. My name is Paul in Calcaterra. I'm from the First Ward. I live next to the Cultural Center. I spoke to Mr. Rotino probably within the last week. We're getting a lot of speeders down on Broadway, and it really is a problem. My fiance came to see me on the March 26th, and she came for dinner. I made dinner, and about 8:30 in the evening, I walked her out to a car, and the bumper was smashed in the back, corner of Broadway and New Street. Now, it could happen anywhere, but the speeders they're there. And that's a school zone. Now, they put a preschool there, and we got young ones, coming by on the sidewalks, of course. But that has to be addressed. About a week ago, I'm out in the backyard, and I hear a big crash. And so I run out to the front, and a school bus, another speeder, runs over the stop sign and street sign, knocks it right down. I don't know if anybody, in the neighborhood was going to, call, but I called the police, and with the aid of Kathleen DeSalvo, we were able to have the city come down and repair the sign one day, and the next day, finish it up. And my hat goes off to the people who came to fix it, because they did do a good job, and I know there are some of the people involved here who are heads of the department. But this school bus, you can see that it's happened a number of times. Goes right over the sidewalk, and the tire marks are there. So, Mr. Rotino, I said to Mr. Rotino, we need to get some speed bumps, even if we get rubber ones temporarily, just to slow these people down. He suggested maybe that perhaps we could put these icons where there are crosswalks. Maybe that's a beginning. But something has to be done. I think it's just something that has to be addressed. Again, I know at one point several months ago there was a suggestion of maybe putting, the vehicle out there saying 25 miles per hour. But people are madmen. They just want to drive, and I personally feel if you gave me the ticket book, I'd make the city a lot of money. I'd give tickets out left and right, because all I have to do is look, and I'd give it to them with a smile. So I'd like you people to think about that. Mr. Rotino, do you have any comments on that?
Nothing that other than we discussed on Thursday. I still feel that take a step at a time.
Okay, you had spoken to you said you were going to speak to someone in traffic, am I correct?
Yeah, and I haven't done it yet, sir. I was going to go through the police director, set up a meeting.
Okay, well, I know you're a busy man, but please don't forget me.
Oh, definitely not.
Please don't forget the people in the first ward, and the people in the first ward were really pulling for everybody to be in office here, and we know that you're going to try and do good things for us.
And you also asked if we could have the rehearsal somewhere else, so it's not too loud.
Okay, now that's another thing now, and I'm bringing that up here. Okay. By the way, the bumper cost, almost $2,000. Almost $2,000. $1,500 and another $500 for matching the paint for a bumper. $500 deductible. You've got to come out of the pocket. Speeding. All right. I tried to come here. My second comment is on, or second piece of information is about the Cultural Arts Center. I'm the neighbor next door, as you know, who complains a lot. When they start beating those drums, it's a problem. Okay, it's been pretty good for a while. Tonight, before I came here, I called Mr. Leosi this morning. He said, well, they're going to use brushes. I said, well, okay, let me ask you something. I said, it says May 9th to 11th. Okay, that's 3 nights, all back to back, whether they're going to use. There's some kind of bloody show. They say, I don't know if it's a musical or it's a rock musical. So I said, so for every night before then, I have to listen to that. All right, so that's 3 nights plus this week, which is 7 nights, 6 nights. And Sunday maybe a half a day. Okay, that's 1 week. Now I got another week. Okay, that's the following week. Now, I don't know if they're gonna have rehearsal now there. I asked Mr. Rattino about rehearsal. He said, well, he was gonna look into it. Mr. Leosi said they had it last week at the new Cultural Center, which we've had before. When the other city manager was in office, or in his position, he said that they were gonna have it over there, which is good. But I gotta ask you something. Have you, council members, seen this agenda before you okay anybody or events? Do you get a copy of this?
No.
And approve? You don't? Okay. Okay, so this is something that has to happen. You guys got to get a copy of this to see. Now, Mr. Leosi, who's the recreation director, will put something loud to notify me. Okay, but I'm paying almost $200 a week taxes. I mean, I think that, you know, I should be having some days where it's quiet. If they're gonna have events, here's 3 back-to-back days of events. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the following week. Now, if you show any kind of consideration to anybody, you're gonna say, well, it's a little loud, let's maybe have it one night or 2 nights. So I'm gonna ask you from now on, when the cultural people or the recreation people come to you with a schedule, that you look at it and bear me in mind, because I'm a good neighbor, and I wanna continue to be a good neighbor. And I ask you for your consideration. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, Barbara Johnson, 345 Railroad Avenue.
Pull the mic down.
Barbara Johnson, 345 Railroad Avenue, Hackensack. I just want to speak to the council. There was an incident on Saturday. There was a commercial vehicle parked improperly on James Street. He was parked on the north side of the street, facing east. I called the police 3 times, then they finally came out. They wrote the gentleman a ticket, physically handed him the ticket, and they left. They didn't make him turn the vehicle around. It sat there for 2 more hours. It was still sitting there. So finally, about 8:45, he decided to move. Before that, I called the police back. After I saw them give him the ticket, I asked them, I said, well, why did they still let him leave the vehicle parked improperly? Oh, well, we don't know. Oh, well, we just left the ticket. I said, no, you didn't leave the ticket. You gave the man the ticket in his hand. Oh, well, the person who issued the ticket is gone. I can't question him. So we'll send somebody back out, but nobody never came back to make that gentleman move that commercial vehicle off the street and make him park it properly. And also with commercial parking, are there any signs in the resident to dictate that there's no commercial parking of vehicles? There's nothing on the street. And I'm from one, I'm getting tired of being the police there. I have to keep calling people to come in the neighborhood, they do what they want to do. I just think something needs to be done about it. If it was me, Paul, like that, I'd been told at a heartbeat. But yet still he was allowed to stay there. And I got no response. I sent a text message, a Facebook message to the police department. I got a message back, oh, well, you should speak to the supervisor in charge. I did that. Nothing was done. That's that. Now also on John Lakey, has there been a final resolution on what he can park there? How many he can park there?
I know there was a meeting at the zoning board where the 2 numbers that were on the paperwork, 16 and 25, were the size of the buses.
The number, right, minibus.
It was the size of the minibuses, and I believe Councilman Sims was at a meeting today with Lecky Bus and zoning.
He said they're going to keep 35 buses on the property.
Now it's 35. Well, where did the 25 come from? Now it's all of a sudden 35.
The 25 was a misunderstanding.
But it was a misunderstanding. He said there, swore on the oath that he was 25 buses. Now it's a misunderstanding. Who made the misunderstanding?
I wasn't there to determine
that. Who changed the rules in midstream?
What his attorney pointed out was that there was no approval limiting and I'm not an attorney, so I'm not sure if our counsel can answer better than I can, but there's no approval limiting the number of buses there, and the zoning that's there, the number of buses is permitted. So I know they're supposed to put together, I believe, a parking plan. They have to put up a fence to stealth it so you can't see it. And I'm not sure if there's anything else that went to that, other than they have to come up with a plan to show the vehicles could fit there, I believe it was, is how they left it with the prosecutor and the zoning.
Okay, so a plan showing that the vehicles can fit there, then he can put 100 buses there if he makes them fit, in addition to the cars that's there. I thought the use was maximum 55 vehicles, including the buses.
I don't know what the maximum number was. I wasn't at the zoning board.
35 buses there at any given time is well over 55 vehicles there. If you go there tonight, I'm sure you'll count more than 55 vehicles.
I've been there. I've counted more than 55 vehicles.
So in other words, he can say, okay, 35 this week, 45 next week, so there's no set amount, he can do what he want to do. That's what we're fighting with now? We have no say-so?
Like I said, I was at the zoning meeting other than to find out that he has to stealth it. He has to come up with a plan and submit it to zoning for approval to limit the numbers, so make sure it doesn't impact it, and that's how it was left.
So when will this, do we know, or being worked on?
Councilman, they said when they were gonna...
I guess the next zoning board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
We need to go to that meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I'm Anthony DePergia of Hackensack PBA Local Number 9. As you know, we've been trying to settle our contract, but have come to an impasse. Officers of the Hackensack Police Department made 1,545 arrests in 2012, and that number has spiked to 2,741 arrests in 2013. There were 92,588 calls for service in 2013. Under the leadership of Director Michael Mordaga, crime has decreased approximately 28% when comparing statistics from January and February of 2013 to January and February of 2014. Burglaries in the city have been cut in half. The men and women of the Hackensack Police Department understand the economy has declined from prior years. We empathize with the residents and business owners. When first approached about negotiations, we asked for the same thing that was awarded to the fire department, which is less than many police departments in Bergen County have been awarded. To be honest, we're not even getting a raise. Due to Chapter 78, which was signed into law by Governor Christie, all public employees are now paying into their health care. Any raise we would get would not cover the health care contributions the public employees are paying. It has been said many times during negotiations with the city manager, we're just looking to offset the costs and stop the bleeding. Over the past year, the police department has seized numerous guns off the streets in the city. Hundreds of drug dealers have been arrested. 4 of our police officers were shot at in a shootout while protecting these citizens. We don't ask for praise or thank yous. It's a job we signed up for and what we get paid to do. The PBA is ready to sit down and settle this contract. As I've stated, we are willing to work with the city in order to accomplish this. We request that you, the elected officials, sit down with the PBA so we can explain exactly what we have asked for, and all we ask for is a fair and open contract negotiation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
To all the officers, before the meeting started, I asked the city manager, Anthony Rattino, to sit just down with you guys again, and let's try to work this out. So that's where we stand. He's gonna reach out to your delegate tomorrow, and hopefully we can iron this out before the week is out.
Councilman, just so you know, there's basically one issue that we were trying to overcome. It was down to one thing. So everybody knows.
Okay.
I don't know if the delegate wants to discuss it, but it came down to the final.
I would recommend you just keep it between yourself
That's fine.
and the
I'm fine
delegates.
with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Steve Galbert, 304 Clinton Place. The agenda for tomorrow's meeting is not yet up online. So a little birdie rumor around town is that the city council plans on potentially making Mr. Rotino our permanent city manager tomorrow. Is that a true statement?
No. I'm not aware of anything on my docket, so no.
Okay. I came to you and I talked to you about some of the potential reasons that Mr. Rotino may not be the best pick for city manager. If he does show up on an agenda or you are looking to hire him as the permanent city manager, it's absolutely clear that you haven't done a statewide, even national-wide, anything long search for a potential city manager. I'm just going to talk a couple of reasons tonight, and some of the reasons that Mr. Rotino may not be the most qualified individual for this position. To me, I can't find a history of any municipal governance, anything that he's done in municipal management. Selling used cars, selling boats, motorcycles, being a realtor, an insurance salesman, running a gym. I just don't see how these are relatable skills to running a $100 million budget, managing over 500 some odd employees, and looking after the interests of more than 40,000 residents. If it doesn't raise enough of a red flag for you guys that this individual has come to the city of Hackensack after working on your campaign with an all of a sudden grand interest in municipal management while running multiple businesses successfully in real estate, insurance, fitness, on and on, that to me is enough of a red flag. Are his interests philanthropic? Is our economic development director just turning city manager just out of his own personal endeavors being such a success? Or is his personal endeavors really not that much of a success and he's just looking to get on the political pad after working on a campaign? In just a short search with my meager resources, I found, to speak to some of his successes, a foreclosure proceeding in Mahwah, a judgment for $4,812 here, $8,916 there, $1,337 here, $12,429 there, $11,908 here, $10,253 there, and $2,772 there. Just looking at some of those, and perhaps all the judgments are a good reason why he doesn't even personally own his own home. How many people in the room own their homes in entities rather than personally owning their own home? I'm not sure of a tax benefit for that. Is this the kind of a man that we want in charge of our developers, someone that doesn't even pay one of them's a medical bill? His businesses, the Harley Davidson dealership, the Magic properties, these are judgments. They're public record. Mr. Rotino has no identified experience in municipal management that I can find other than losing elections. The city of Hackensack, along with $100 million of budget, 43,000 residents, 500 employees. It's not the place for him to learn about municipal management and governance. Let's take a look at just past 4 months. Past four months as interim city manager, let's just take a look at some of his stellar track record. I've cut this down to try to be respectful of the 5-minute rule. Just to try to be respectful. And this is a really important issue, so I'm going to hope you give me a little bit of leeway, but I've cut this down drastically. Bullying business owners. I've got business owners coming to me all over Main Street telling me how he removed the garbage sheds, and now he's allegedly has a ticket writing campaign going on Main Street where these people don't even have the property to put dumpsters, and he's taken away the only garbage sheds that they possibly have to even get rid of the garbage. He's the economic development officer / interim city manager. These aren't the people that he should be fighting with. He shouldn't be fighting with anyone, but the business owners on Main Street. Mr. Rotino has allegedly had controversial interactions with employees and has potentially opened the city to countless new lawsuits for civil rights violations. You've had a number of employees brought up on disciplinary charges under baseless accusations that serve no greater purpose than to persecute employees for their perceived political affiliations, and perceived only because of their long tenure as employees. The ones that you haven't suspended or terminated are allegedly being bullied and threatened. I've got employees lining up to tell me how they've been told they're not needed, going to be privatized, or as one employee told me that a council member, not Mr. Rotino, a council member told me, and this is deplorable, and I'm upset even having to say it, replaceable by $10 an hour Mexicans. I am told that you have union, I didn't say Mr. Rotino. I am told that you have union grievances shooting through the roof. Let's take a look at one grievance I've been told about in particular. A 71-year-old man, 40-year city employee, who alleged that he had been threatened and bullied by Mr. Rotino and told that he was going to kick his ass. I don't know it to be true. I know it. I've been told that it's a grievance that's out there, and I don't know whether or not it was said, and I'm not going to make a representation as to whether it was. I'm telling you what I was told was said. And apparently the grievance is there. The scared employee filed his retirement application under duress and out of fear. Another secretary says that she was told, "I think it's about time you retire." She lined up at the door to get out. Another gentleman told me that he was told 2 weeks, retire or fire. These are even worse than the stories we heard of under the Zisa regime. The people of Hackensack voted to stop these practices, the lawsuits, and the oppressions of our fine city employees. The police department's on the mend. You heard Mr. DePersia get up and talk. After nearly 20 years of persecution, they're finally beginning to regain morale, and under the management of Director Mordega, the streets of Hackensack have never been safer. Mr. Rotino, however, has allegedly gone to war with the police department. It's his inexperience and attempted strong-arm tactics instead of good faith negotiations that have caused the contract negotiations with Local 9 to deteriorate, hopefully not beyond repair. And who is the front man in the negotiations? The partner of Kevin O'Toole, Mr. Rotino's political ally, whom the Citizens for Change, by the way, have given political contributions to out of your PAC. A major breaking point in these negotiations is health insurance benefits. While Mr. Rotino is browbeating the policeman over insurance, he's allegedly giving health insurance benefits to his private business partner and part-time city employee, Frank Catania. Mr. Rotino is just not the man for this job. Now, let's just take one quick look at the hiring process for city manager. It's clear that there's potential violations of the Open Public Meeting Act abound by this council in the surreptitious, possibly surreptitious hire of Anthony Rotino. Under the Open Public Meetings Act, no more than 2 council members can meet to discuss public business, which is defined as all matters relate in any way, directly or indirectly, to the performance of the public body's functions or the conduct of its business. Action does not necessarily need to be taken at a meeting to be considered a meeting. On March 31st, you put all 5 members of the city council in a room to meet with several candidates and conduct interviews for this critical position within the city. No meeting was called, no notice was no meeting was called, and no notice was posted. Ms. Canestrino and Mr. LaBrosse, if Mr. Rotino's hire was not discussed at the COW council meeting and should show up on an agenda, and you were not included, invited to, or notified of the meeting, or any of the other members of the council, I urge you to speak up and blow the whistle on the potential violations. This outrage needs to stop. Our city and its residents, taxpayers, and business owners deserve an experienced, highly qualified, not politically connected city manager, not a failed politician who is alleged to have done nothing more in 4 months than intimidate and bully employees and business owners. Mrs. Canestrino, this is the exact fight that you came and ranted about for 8 years, taking politicians out of management positions in our city. So, Mr. LaBrosse, Ms. Canestrino, Ms. Greenman, Ms. Sims, Mr. Battaglia, were you in these meetings? Have you discussed them as a group in an open, public way? Ms. Greenman, after a year of almost sticking your foot in your mouth, do the right thing and try to redeem yourself in the eyes of the people. Stop this. Mr. Battaglia, after years of fighting the Zisa, a few months on the council, and you're just showing with the alleged things that you're even worse than they were. Hold real interviews, hold a real search, do the right thing, and get us a qualified person for every position in this city. Mr. Sims, you're a Hackensack guy. Is Anthony Rotino a Hackensack guy? Does he get our community? Does he understand the needs of our residents, our children, and our recreation? You guys are supposed to be a team that's united to do what is right for this city. You ran on a platform of change, putting an end to the backroom deals and the politics. These people are here tonight to ask you to do what is right. They elected you. Represent their interests and do the right thing for this city. Get rid of your cronies.
Good evening, Mayor. Jason Denemacher, 235 Prospect Avenue. That's going to be a tough act to follow. Quick question regarding the park on Atlantic Street. And I understand both sides, and to be honest, I understand it's a tough decision. But has there been any thought of giving the money that the city would spend and use that money to pay for the cops? I take it by your silence that hasn't been considered?
I don't know if
because
that could be.
I'm sure developers wouldn't be coming here if our streets weren't safe.
I would put that to our finance officer.
Okay.
He would handle that better. If that's
And,
possible. I don't know if it's feasible, that's why I'm saying.
But in terms of the grant, now you heard.
No, I understand the grant. I wasn't born
How about
yesterday.
the 300 to manage?
Well, put it this way, if we were to go ahead with the park project, all right, with the capital financing, we would probably have to start repaying back the debt in probably 3 to 4 years.
No, I know that.
Okay.
So instead of doing the park right now, take that money and pay for the people who keep our streets safe.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying is we won't hit the debt for the park for another 3 to 4 years. So if the park project were to go ahead, you wouldn't see a budget impact for another 3 years.
He's wanting to know if you put the grant money aside,
Mhm.
$315,000 that you're bonding for, he
Mhm.
wants to know if that could be used to pay the police department.
Okay.
Can't borrow to pay.
No, you absolutely can't borrow the money to pay for any
I
operating
understand
expenses.
that.
But that's where the money was coming from. We were borrowing.
Mr. Mayor, can you confirm, I guess it was Mr. Gelber's report a few days ago regarding Mr. Catania's health insurance? Are we paying for that now?
We have been paying for it, yes.
We haven't since July 1st? Did the former municipal prosecutor get health insurance?
No, we did not.
Okay, can you tell me how much of a premium the city's paying for Mr. Catania?
I can only guess that it's about $25,000 a year.
20.
I'm guessing. I think that's the average. You'd have to answer. I'm not sure the exact
No,
cost.
he does have a family plan.
Oh, it's not a family plan? I'm sorry.
It's not
It'd be
the
less.
application that I
It's
saw.
much less if it's not a family.
Okay. Now, are we still using Mr. Amarato? Because I know you and the deputy mayor are not using his services anymore.
City is still using Mr. Randall.
And we're still paying him the same despite the 40% drop off in workload?
At this time, yes.
I'm just saying, I think we have cost measures here where we can maybe afford the park, afford to keep our, our cops, treat them right. And I just think it's better decisions on behalf of the leadership here. And as Mr. Gilbert alluded to, I think it starts with the city manager. It's just maybe things we can consider going forward. And I believe Mr. Ratino's annual compensation is nearly $200,000.
I wish.
Well, it was $125,000 for the economic director. I'm assuming he's getting more money now that he's the acting city manager. And plus, we gave him health insurance too. Okay, so I guess if your campaign staff need health insurance, they came over to the city of Hackensack. So maybe these are just cost measures we can look at going forward to respect our police officers and even pay for this park.
Thank you.
Regina DePasqua, Parker Avenue. First, I wasn't planning, but Mr. Rotino, on the whole Green Acres with Johnson Park, there is a lawsuit that I forwarded to one of the council members that the appellate division decided that the shooting range and the greenhouse are recreation. So Green Acres should not be an issue with that. I don't know what the issue is, but there's an appellate division suit case. The Johnson family sued the city, and the judge decided that they were recreation, okay? So I don't know what the issue is. So that should be able to be resolved real quickly. The other thing, Mr. Nunemacher was just talking about, Mr. Catania's $25,000, but I believe that might be family plan. Mr. Amarato's $78,000. We could save $100,000 a year and give it to our police officers. Two things that we don't need. There's only 3 of you who are keeping Mr. Amarato here. 3 of you are spending $78,000 a year. Do the math. You want it for your mouthpiece or do you want it for the police? That's your choice, okay? You're taking that money and spending it for your own purposes, all right? And I believe the police should have a contract before our city manager does. Before any city manager does. If Mr. Rutino is being considered for a contract, and he is the one negotiating with the police, get that nailed down, get that done before we even consider. Because if he's doing the job, then he should be able to do it now. If he can't do it unless he has a contract, then that's just wrong. That's wrong. He should be able to do it now. I also had sent some information, it's not from me, New Jersey Municipal Management Association. What to look for in a city manager. Survey the council's needs as well as the municipal organization, which would be the employees of the city and the community. Have you asked the employees? Have you looked into as far as how the employees feel? Also, one of the things a city manager must possess, training and knowledge that spans several business disciplines and the skills necessary to address a diverse environment. We hired Mr. Rutino because he was a specialist for development. That's why he got that job. That was his specialty, that's what he did. How do we make this jump? I don't understand it. And why would we have to make that decision right now, if it is on the table? I don't know if it is, and I don't want to wait until it's too late to say anything about it. This paperwork also says the city manager must have experience in a position addressing issues and problems of local government, and an educational background in public administration is also important. Relationships with subordinate personnel. Effective manager develops a friendly and informal relationship with the working forces as a whole. I don't think lawsuits fall under that, honestly. Yet maintaining the prestige and dignity of the office. Relationships with the council. Such a manager strives to maintain an impartial relationship with the mayor and council and keeps them equally informed about administrative developments. Not he said, she said, equally. Professional skills, four types, and this isn't from me. As I said, New Jersey Municipal Management Association. The pamphlet is guidelines to aid municipalities in the selection of a municipal manager. All right. City managers have 4 types of personal skills: technical, human relations, conceptual, and a capacity for innovation. Okay, these are the things that you should be looking for. Okay, the do's and don'ts. I sent this to all of you, so you should all have this. I don't know if any of you read it, but carefully check references on those candidates judged best qualified is a do. Don't limit your recruitment or investigation to a single candidate. Don't forget you are seeking overall management ability, not technical competence in one specialized field. Like I said, when Mr. Rotino was hired, it's because he was a specialist in the development, and that's why he got that job. That position was created, and he got it. And now he's jumping over here, but why didn't he become city manager to begin with? Why didn't he go right there to begin with? He had the specialty in development. And don't overlook a manager candidate, the need for municipal administrative experience and the advantages and value of college or university training. I'm sure you had many applications you had to go through. I'm sure you narrowed it down to some when you were looking previously. I'm also pretty sure Mr. Rotino was not in that mix, okay? You have other applications. He's our development person. We were sold on that he's development. If that's the case, I don't understand how it travels to city manager. But seriously, our police deserve a contract, and they should get it first.
Thank you.